Happy holidays and welcome back to 5 on Fridays. My name's Brandon Kimbrough. I'm the Employee Wellness Coordinator for the City of Columbus. Many of us find that the holidays bring as much stress to our lives as they do joy. And in today's video, we want to help you find the sources of that stress and prepare you with tools to help you enjoy the holiday season this year in new ways. Today, our friend Rashad Davis from EAP and Nurse Kathy sat down to talk about just that. What to look out for in regards to your holiday stress, things you should consider, and how to manage it. Let's get over to the interview.
Hi, everyone. My friend Rashad Davis from Columbus EAP is here with me today, and I want to welcome Rashad.
Hi,
It's great to
Kathy.
have you here. Well, the
Yeah.
holidays are here. Hi, the holidays are here, and the time has really flown by this year. So holidays are here, and I hear so much about holiday depression. So my question is, am I guessing that holiday depression can affect anyone at any age?
So as many as 2 to 3% of children ages 6 to 12 can have serious depression. And furthermore, a recent study with the Child and Adolescent Psychiatry at NYU discovered that between 1 and 2% of young children as young as 3 years old can actually be depressed. So when we think about it in those terms, it's really important for parents to pay really close attention to any red flags they see and get services around kiddos really quickly, right? And our world has changed a lot with the emergence of COVID. So any symptoms of depression may be magnified for the youngest among us, which means we have to be more vigilant in our response to those concerns when they surface.
Wow. What triggers the holiday depression? It can't just be a date on the calendar. What triggers it?
So even in years when we didn't have to navigate all the current challenges we're faced with, the American Psychological Association reported that 44% of women and 33% of men surveyed reported some amount of significant stress during the holidays. And some common triggers are stress about family gatherings, and this can be even over Zoom, right? Because they feel like these gatherings might devolve into arguments over politics or other sensitive topics. We've seen people triggered by thinking about overspending, especially for people who already are feeling a little financial stress. They can feel pressure to create the most and the best, decorated home, baked goods, gifts. And then we also see one of the major triggers for people around the holidays are memories of loved ones. These memories of loss and longing for family members and friends that they are still grieving for. And interestingly enough, this can be especially difficult for those who are celebrating holidays like Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. And this is attributed to the very close ties that family members have with matriarchs and patriarchs of their family, because we know COVID has been especially brutal for our elderly population. So some of those symptoms that people want to look out for is that situational sadness, any kind of irritability, anxiety, fatigue, or any heightened feelings of being overwhelmed, distressed. And if you're feeling this, you kind of want to take a step back and see if it's time to get some help for you.
Well, typically we think of the holidays being Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. But is it really a year-round depression that just kind of exacerbates during the holidays, or does it just suddenly go away after January 1?
So this is a really great question, because we really want to keep a close eye on what we refer to as recurrence. What that looks like is every year around late fall and then throughout the winter months, when there's less natural light, people may suffer from major depressive disorder with a seasonal pattern. And basically what that means is it looks like social withdrawal, increased sleep, or some weight gain. And these are just a few symptoms. But these symptoms will likely subside with the emergence of spring. If these symptoms persist into the spring and then summer months and they start to get worse as the year progresses, that will be a real cause for concern. And then you want to make sure you emphasize that this could look different for everyone, but if it does persist into those later months of the year, this is a huge red flag that it's time to go ahead and get some help.
Well, do you think people realize they experience holiday depression, or it's just an excuse for them to have the bah humbug?
Again, this can look different for everyone. So certainly if someone has experienced this before in some form, or if there has been a recurrence every year with the seasonal patterns, then absolutely a person will anticipate having to navigate these feelings as the weather starts to shift. But in instances like we mentioned before, maybe there hasn't been any life change, like children leaving the home for college, loss of a family member or a friend, divorce, separation, retirement. And this may be a new experience. In these instances, it can be very overwhelming and difficult for a person to process. We can now also add COVID fatigue to this list of major life
Wow.
adjustments. And this might mean having to leave your work family, whom you've worked around for years, and uncertainty about the future, conflict with family and friends about COVID precautions, political views. All of these things can exacerbate symptoms for people who have never experienced this before.
So, what makes holiday depression different from any other form of emotional or clinical depression?
When a clinician is looking at what would be an appropriate diagnosis for someone experiencing depressive symptoms, we generally are looking at three things. We're looking at the frequency with which symptoms occur, meaning how often are these symptoms occurring for the person? We also look at the intensity of symptoms, right? So we want to know in what way are those depressive symptoms affecting a person's quality of life. And then finally, we're looking at the duration of the symptoms. So how long the symptoms persist. In the case of seasonal pattern, a person's mood or affect may shift even without them realizing it when the flowers start to bloom again. And when that
Right.
natural light comes back around the baskin, it just kind of goes away. You don't even really pay attention to it. You kind of forget it was almost even there. But again, if these symptoms persist into those summer months and those strong urges to isolate or loss of interest in things you used to enjoy doing, loss of focus in work, irritability, anger, and you know what? Sorry, guys, this is really prevalent in us, okay? Depression comes out in anger, irritability, frustration, maybe some loss of appetite. Then there's definitely a cause of concern. And as I always say, if you're questioning whether or not you're okay, probably a good indication that you are not okay, and it's time to go
Right.
ahead and get some help.
Right. Well, let's say someone is experiencing holiday depression or someone is recognizing a family member experiencing. What can they
Yeah.
do? What's some healthy ways that they can work through it?
This is the most important question, I think, along these lines, because you really want to plan, plan, plan. So if you know that this time of year is really difficult for you, the best way to navigate it is to plan ahead. You want to develop an emotional safety plan for yourself. I've really emphasized this with everyone that I've been speaking to lately. Your plan should include a robust routine, okay, for fall and winter months to come. It should be specific. It should be realistic given your schedule and your day-to-day responsibilities, because you don't want to have to sacrifice this time that you set aside for yourself. If you're going to commit to that time, then you need to commit to that time for yourself, okay? And here's the thing. The most important thing about planning is there are three main elements to make sure that it's effective, okay? And that's consistency, because we learn through repetition. So the more that we do something, the more it becomes normalized for our day-to-day routine. And we want predictability into that plan. So we need something to look forward to. Something that, we can look at as, even if we're having a bad day or a bad moment, we can say, you know what, but I have some things planned for myself later on this day, and I'm going to make sure I commit to that time for myself. And then
Right.
follow through is so key for us. That follow through is so key. So if we plan it, we have to commit to it. And this is how we ensure that we have emotional safety in place for ourselves to protect how we process things from an emotional standpoint, and so that our feelings don't get the best of us and we feel like we're losing control.
That's what I'm thinking. It's a control plan for yourself.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, this can be a living document. You can keep this plan in place, and every time this time of year comes around, maybe a couple months prior to the Thanksgiving holiday, you're anticipating what things are going to look like for you. Get that plan back out. Look at what worked for you last year, maybe what didn't work, revise it, make it even more robust. This should be something fun to do. So it should be something that even reduces your anxiety and stress with worrying about some of those things that we normally worry about when the holidays come around.
Oh, that's fantastic. This has been great information. Rashad, we're out of time today, so I want to thank you again for sharing your time with us, and I wish you the happiest of holidays. And this information has been so important. I know with me, my stress level goes up during the holidays with all the things with the children, the gifts, the decorating, meal planning, and things like that. And so this has been great. This has been great information. So I appreciate your time, and I wish you the happiest of holidays.
Thank you so much for having me once again, Kathy, and I wish you a happy holiday season as well.
Okay, I hope to see you again in 2022.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you again, Nurse Kathy and Rashad, for that discussion and those insights. We encourage all employees and their families to reach out to us in the Benefits and Wellness office if they've got questions about the programs and services that we've got access to throughout the city. More information on our programs, EAP's programs, and so much more is linked down in the description. That's going to do it for today's episode. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you stay informed whenever we put out new videos just like this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a wonderful holiday season and stay safe.
Christmas